Hello friends, today we will learn how to update HubSpot contacts from new Google Form responses. Now Google Forms is a form builder application and HubSpot is a CRM application. If you use Google Forms to collect the details of the people who are applying in your company for some purpose, you might want to add their contacts in your HubSpot account as well. But since both these applications do not have a direct connection between them, then you might have to do the work of creating or updating an existing contact manually. But let me tell you, we can actually automate this whole process with the help of Pabbly Connect. We will create an integration where our trigger will be the new submission in Google Forms and our action will be new contact created or an existing contact updated in your HubSpot account. Let us learn how to do it. So now we will learn that how to add the basic information that we retrieve from a Google form and add that information in your HubSpot as a new contact. If you are already having a contact, then this contact information will be updated. As you can see in my HubSpot account, this is my contact section. And if I will be having some contact that is already over there, for example, if I add this John contact again, and I am adding some more information here, if I'm adding this section of the last contacted, then a new contact won't be created, but this existing contact will be updated. And in the case of no contact found already, so a new contact will be created with the help of this form that I have created. Okay, so we will do this integration using Pabbly Connect. On your right hand side, you have two options on the landing page of Pabbly. One is sign up for free and the other is sign in. If you don't have an existing account, click on sign up for free. Because I'm having one, I will click on sign in. And then I will be taken to the login page where I will just click on sign in with Google and I will be logged in into Pabbly. Here you can see all the applications provided to you by Pabbly, and we are going to use Pabbly Connect because we are going to integrate two applications, that is Google Forms and HubSpot. Click on access now and then I'll be forwarded to the dashboard of Pabbly Connect. So after reaching here, we will click on this big blue button on the right hand side. You can see that's written create workflow over it because we are going to create a fresh workflow from scratch. So we will name this Google Form to HubSpot Contacts. Click on create and then an empty workflow will be created for you. Now, when you reach this window, you will see two boxes written with trigger and action on it. Now, what is a trigger and what is an action? A trigger is when this happens, which means that you are going to enter a trigger application in this section and then you will choose an event also. So trigger is more like an event that will take place in that application. And once that happens, this workflow will move ahead in the direction of the action application and then an action will be performed in that application, whatever you are going to assign it. Okay, so today our trigger application will be Google Form, because the HubSpot contacts will be created on the basis of the information Pabbly Connect receives from the Google Form submission. And the trigger event will be a new response received. So first of all, you have to see over here, there is one more step involved in this workflow, that is Google Sheets. Now, why Google Sheets? Because all the information that is retrieved from this section of the form will be collected in the Google Sheet, and that we will be able to capture with the help of Pabbly Connect. So what you need to do is you have to use this webhook URL and link that Google Sheet with your Google form and then further to Pabbly Connect. Okay, so webhook is more like a link that connects two applications. So let's move ahead. First, let's open Google Forms. Basic information is the form that we are talking about. And then we will go to responses. Here all the responses will be collected in your Google Forms. So here on the right hand side, you can see link to sheets is an option and then you have to create a new sheet. So just create a new sheet. Basic information is the name of the sheet also, and we are creating a new sheet. Now this will be forwarded to a new Google Sheet. The name we have given basic information responses. Now all the columns are already there and these columns depend on what? The fields of the form. Okay, so whatever information is filled in this form will be forwarded to this sheet. Now let us fill the form. So let's say the name is Jim, the second name is Evans, date of birth is Okay, this is the date of birth, where you work, Pabbly itself, and the email address is jim@. So, email address is also done. We have filled all the fields: first name, last name, date of birth, place of work, and email address, and we have submitted this form. Now, this form is submitted. You go to your Google Sheet, and then you will see that all the information has been captured: the email address, the place of work, date of birth, last name, first name, and the time stamp that Google form captures on its own. Okay, now this is done. Now is the time to connect Pabbly Connect to this Google Sheet. How are we going to connect? We are going to use this webhook URL for that. Copy it from here. Go back to your Google Sheets. Now, this is a very important and crucial process, so please pay attention. In this menu, you will see extensions over here. Click on extensions and click on add-ons. Go to get add-ons, and then you will have to search for Pabbly Connect webhooks over here. So in the search bar, type Pabbly Connect webhooks. See, it's there, and then you have to install it. I already have installed it, so I don't have to install it from here now. When you will install it, it will appear in the last line of this menu. Now go to initial setup, and then here it will ask you for the webhook URL. So enter the webhook URL and then the trigger column. Now what is the trigger column? It is the last updated column. So this time our trigger column is going to be F, so that Pabbly Connect captures the information in this Google Sheet till the F column. Okay, so let's do the initial setup. Enter the webhook. Trigger column is F and submit. When you click on submit, it says that it's configured successfully, and then send test. Okay, test data sent to Pabbly Connect. And now one more important step is that you have to click on send on event. Why? Because every time this sheet will be updated, Pabbly Connect will capture the response. Okay, so you have to click on send on event. You have to activate this. And now if you go back and see, it's done. Okay, now we go back to Pabbly Connect and see if the response is received. And yes, see, the response is received. The moment we copied the webhook from here, Pabbly Connect was waiting for a response. And when we connected our Google Sheet to Pabbly Connect, this response was received. Now, this is the name of the spreadsheet, place of work, the trigger column, the timestamp, name, first name, second name, email address, and the date of birth. So all the information that we wanted, or better we can say we entered in the form, has been captured by Pabbly Connect. Now we want to use this information and create a new contact or update an existing contact in your HubSpot. Okay, so for that, what you have to do is choose your action application, that is your HubSpot. First, let's just choose HubSpot. But what is the difference over here? The new part or the special part over here is that first you have to search a contact, because when you are giving this information from the trigger application, that is, for example, the name of the contact is Jim Evans over here. So HubSpot first will look for an existing contact like that. If they find an existing contact from the name of Jim Evans, then they will just update the contact. But if there is no contact found in such a way, then what is going to happen? A new contact will be created. So first, let's search a contact. Okay. Search a contact. Connect. But remember again, that before you connect your HubSpot account, make sure that you have opened the account over here. Okay, so click on add new connection, connect with HubSpot CRM, and then it will just ask you to give access to the account, and that's how it is connected. Okay, now company size equals and everything is over here. Now this is a very important part. You don't have to map everything, but make sure that what all you want to look for when you are searching for a new contact or an existing contact also. So the company size depends that what is the matching property. Now company size is already over here. You don't have to choose company size. What can be the matching property? For example, a contact is entered over here. Now, what is that one quantity you want to look for? So there can be people with similar names, but their email addresses are always going to be unique. So we are going to choose the matching property as the email address. Okay, so let's come here and find email. you can just find in the search bar email. You have to choose just the email. Now, email is the matching property. So whenever a new contact is forwarded to Pabbly Connect from this Google Sheet, then it will take the email of that contact and look for the similar email in your HubSpot contacts. If they exist, then it's done. Now the operator says that it should be equal to, which means the email that you received should be equal to the email that is existing in the HubSpot. Output properties, what else do you want? We have the date of birth. See, it's getting ticked. You have to choose more than one. Date of birth we had. Then what we did, we had the first name. So we will select first name. Okay. Then what else did we have? The last name. So we can just type rather than looking for the entities. Last name was there. So we need only these information that should be output of that particular email. Okay. And the search value has to be taken up from the Google response. So what is the search value? Search value is this, the email address. So when you will connect when you will search for a contact, it will look for the email, and then what it will do, it will compare that value with this email address. Click on save and send test request, and then see total says 0, which means this is not an existing contact. It says 0. If there was another contact that was already existing, then it would have shown that yes, it exists. For example, we will do the experiment right here to let you know. For example, let's just take this email address and then copy paste it over here. Okay, now this is the search value. You click on save and send test request, and then it will show you 1. 1 is here, which means that yes, it exists. 1 is the value of how many contacts are there with this email address. This is the result ID. This is the name of the contact. The contact has been searched. So what we actually need is this thing, that whenever you search for a contact in HubSpot before creating or updating, the value should be 1, which means you've got one contact that is equal to the email address, that is having the same email address. Now we will just save this part and move ahead with the router. Now what is a router? Router is a feature by Pabbly. It helps us to give 2 different directions of one workflow only. How are we going to set 2 different directions? First, we are going to name this. So we will name exists. Okay. And the second will be does not exist. So why exist and does not exist? It means that whenever there is a contact which will show 1 over here, which means the contact exists, so it will be routed to updating the contact. And if this comes out to be 0, that it came in the earlier case we did, so it will go to this pathway, that is does not exist, and in that condition a new contact will be created. So we will set the filter in the action step over here. Okay. So for these steps, we will click on set filter and action step, and then we will put a filter over here. Now filter is again a feature by Pabbly Connect, and it will continue only if the condition you are going to set over here will satisfy the value. Okay. Now we will just put a label over here, and the label is going to be search a contact. This total has to be the label, because when this total is equal to 1, then which means the contact is existing, and so it just needs to be updated. So in the case of exist, because we are actually doing this for the existing contact, so this total should not be equal to 0. Okay. There could be 1 contact, 2 contact, 3 contacts with the same email address. Okay. Right now there is just 1 contact with this email address that we did set right now. So in any case, this total should not be equal to 0, because if it is equal to 0, then the contact does not exist. So this is our condition. We will click on save and send test request, and it will say the status is success, which means that a contact with that email address exists, and that we already know. We click on save because it is important to save this feature. Next, here only in this section, we will give the action application as HubSpot. And because the contact already exists, we will update the contact. Okay, you understood this part, that because this contact that we are talking about exists already, then we will just update that contact. Now connect. You don't need to connect it separately. Why? Because we just connected. Click on select existing connection and then save this connection. Now further you have to enter the contact ID. So what was the contact ID? The contact ID was this. Okay, this was the email address. It will come from all the contacts that are already existing in your HubSpot account. Okay, these were all the options that you were provided over here. So you have to select that email address, and then the company size does not matter. We did not have any company size value as such. The date of birth has to be mapped from the Google response. Okay, don't get confused by the timestamp and the date of birth separately. This is the date of birth. No degree, field, study. So just look for that field that you need to enter the information or that you actually filled in your Google form. So when you come down a little bit, you will find the first name. So what was the first name? You have to do the mapping of the name, the date of birth, and the email over here. How you are supposed to do that? You will get 3 options from here. Oh, and all these 3 options are your previous steps. The first step, the second step, and the next step after that. So mapping is actually a process of creating a pathway from the steps you have already created. For example, you have already had the response captured from the Google Forms. So whatever you got from the Google Form is provided to you over here, and you have to select that from this list. Now the first name is Jim, so it will be entered over here. The last name, again, you have to look from Google Forms only. So it is Evans. This is the last name. Email address was there. So click on the same. And then what was the email address? This was the email address. So map all the values that you have. You don't have a salutation or the Twitter profile photo. So you don't need to map it. And there is no required written over here, which means this is not a necessary field. Okay. We did not fill any phone number or something. And then we will come down to look for a company name. So what was the company name? There was a company name, and the name of the company was Pabbly. That is, where do you work? Okay. So we have actually entered all the important data that is required and that we needed for the information. Click on save and send test request, and then it will show you a response. This is the ID. Okay. This is the name, the creation date, the date of birth, email, name, last name, and all the conditions are fulfilled. So click on save and then close this window. So see, now it says contains 1 step. Earlier it was 0 steps. So we will set filter and action step for the next step. Again, you have to set for search contact, that is total 1. So if the contact is equal to 0, now earlier it was not equal to 0. It can be any other contact but not 0. But in this scenario, the total value has to be 0. You have to enter this value manually. Don't map this value because you don't have values for the same. Okay, for both the routers, you don't have the value. So you don't need to put the value by mapping. You have to just put the value manually. So the label, that is total number of contact, given 1, but it should be equal to 0. You click on save and send test request, and the status will show error, and the message is that condition is false. Error does not mean an error in your workflow. It will just show that this contact does not exist. Okay, this condition is not true for this case because the contact exists, but the value you want is 0, which is not possible. So you will just save this step and add the action step in this condition. When there is no contact existing with the same name, email address, or any other value, then what are you going to do? You are going to create a new contact. Select your action application, that is HubSpot, and now you have to create a contact. Connect your HubSpot account. No need to have a new connection. Select an existing connection and then save. It will be saved on its own. No company size were there, but date of birth was there. So you have to map it from here itself. Again, the same mapping will go. Why? Because in both the scenarios, the information will be gathered from the Google form only. Now you come down for the email address. First, you have to enter the name. The name is Jim. The last name is Evans. Make sure you don't click it outside this window. Click inside, because clicking outside will just close the whole window without saving the information you just mapped. The email address, What was the email address? This was the email address. Okay, no mobile number, nothing, and the company name was there. So what you'll do is just drop down menu and select the company name. Now we have entered all the information. Click on save and send test request, and then the contact will be created. This is the ID of the contact, the name, the email address, the date of birth, all the information has been forwarded to the place and a new contact has been created. Now we will go back to your HubSpot and see. After refreshing it, you can see that a new contact has been created. The date of birth, company name, email address, the name, all the information that we entered has been captured over here. So just close this window and then we will just close all these steps to have a quick recap of what we did in the workflow. Okay, so our workflow was of 3 steps: Google Forms, HubSpot, search a contact, and then router. Now router further had 2 different steps. In the first case, we created a form with the help of Google Forms, and then we filled the form and the response of this form was further sent to this Google Sheet, which is automatically connected. You don't have to connect it separately. And then you connected this Google Sheet to your Pabbly Connect with your trigger application with the help of this webhook URL. The response was received over here, and then further you added a step to search a contact, because as soon as the form is received, a name and email address is received, you have to check if this information already exists in HubSpot or not. If it does, then you will put routers, that is 2 routes. You can also add more routes to it as per your requirement. So in this case, you will put router over here in the condition of a contact already existing, and if there is no such contact over here. So if it already exists, then you will put the condition as updating a contact, because it already exists. So you just need to enter the empty information. And then if it does not exist, if there is no such contact already, then what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to create a new contact. And that's how our whole workflow was created. I hope this helped. Not just these applications, but you can integrate many other applications using Pabbly Connect. If you have any issue regarding Pabbly, you can email us at support@pabbly.com. You can ask your queries at forum.pabbly.com. And if you have any doubts regarding our pricing, then you can connect us through this given website. If you found this video helpful in any way, then make sure to share this with your friends and colleagues to make their life easier by creating automations. We will meet in the next video. Till then, do not forget to like our video and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.